Willow Creek, a small town nestled between golden wheat fields and ancient oak forests in Tennessee, was a place where time seemed to stand still. Winding cobblestone streets, the cheerful chirping of birds, and the faint aroma of coffee drifting from corner brew painted a rare picture of tranquility. But on a sweltering summer afternoon, that stillness was shattered by a scene no one could have anticipated. A German shepherd, emaciated and skeletal, its matted fur caked with patches of dried mud, darted through the bustling traffic on Main Street, its deep brown eyes flashing with panic and unspoken pain. It leaped at car windows, claws scraping harshly against the glass, nose pressed close, searching for a face etched deep in its heart, the one who had abandoned it. The blaring of car horns and the shouts of people filled the air, but Atlas, the name fate had bestowed upon it, did not stop. A fierce loyalty burned like an eternal flame within, refusing to accept the cruel truth that it had been left behind forever. This is the story of Atlas's transformative journey, from a broken spirit to a symbol of healing, redeemed by unrelenting compassion and unexpected secrets that will keep you captivated. Atlas raced down the street, its paws slipping on the scorching asphalt, its panting breath nearing exhaustion. Each leap sent its front legs crashing against car windows, leaving streaks of scratched claw marks, its tail wagging frantically for a few seconds before stilling in disappointment. A green pickup sped by. It jumped, its claws scraping the glass with a chilling screech. Finding no one, it bolted toward a white sedan, then a delivery truck, like an unstoppable whirlwind. The people of Willow Creek stood frozen in shock. Hazel, the 70-year-old bakery owner with snow-white hair, cried out, "Good heavens, it's going to get itself killed!" Tommy, a 10-year-old boy, tugged at his mother's sleeve. "Mom, is that dog crazy?" But Atlas wasn't crazy, it was haunted by the memory of the one who had once been its entire world. Lucas Harper, a 32-year-old carpenter with calloused hands and a pensive gaze, sat on a wooden bench outside Corner Brew, holding a cup of coffee that had long gone cold. He had just finished a job, a bookshelf for the town library, and planned to rest before heading home. But the sound of honking horns and shouting jolted him upright. He caught sight of Atlas leaping onto a silver SUV, leaving claw marks on the dusty glass, its eyes blazing for a moment before dimming. Lucas had encountered many strays in his life, dogs left behind when owners moved away or grew tired of them, but Atlas was different. It wasn't mere hunger or fear, it was the desperation of losing something irreplaceable. His chest tightened, a familiar pang from his past resurfacing. A dog he'd raised as a child had been abandoned too, and he hadn't been able to save it. Ellie, a 22-year-old waitress with a radiant smile and her hair tied high, stepped out of the cafe, balancing a tray of drinks. "Lucas, have you seen that dog? Poor thing's been running since yesterday, jumping at every car like it's looking for someone." Lucas frowned. "Since yesterday?" Ellie nodded, setting the tray down. "Yeah, I heard old Jack at the gas station say it showed up early yesterday morning, a few miles from here. The shelter tried to catch it, but it took off. It must be exhausted by now." Lucas looked at Atlas, its fur matted with dried mud, its paws scratched and bleeding, its ribs protruding as if they might pierce through its thin skin. It had just leaped onto a red delivery truck that had pulled over, barking furiously, its tail wagging wildly as its eyes lit up with hope. Lucas muttered under his breath, "It thinks that's its owner." The driver, a middle-aged man named Carl, wearing a worn-out jacket and speaking in a raspy voice, flung the door open in surprise. "What the hell? Where'd you come from?" Atlas whimpered, its tongue lolling out, clawing frantically at the glass, trying to get inside. Its bark softened into desperate pleas, as if begging. Lucas shot to his feet, his heart pounding. He could feel the hope surging within Atlas. But when Carl stepped out, tall and broad with a scruffy beard, Atlas froze. Its ears drooped, its tail fell limp, its body stiffened as if turned to stone. It wasn't him. Lucas saw Atlas's eyes shift, from radiant to hollow, like a flame snuffed out by a cold gust. Carl, flustered, mumbled, "Sorry, buddy, you've got the wrong guy. Get lost." Atlas stepped back slowly, letting out a long, anguished whine that echoed through the quiet street, so piercing that even Ellie turned away, wiping tears from her eyes. A crowd gathered around the nearby parking lot, whispering and raising their phones to record. Ben, a burly construction worker with a booming voice, shouted, "Someone grab it, it's too dangerous. It's going to cause an accident." But no one dared approach. Atlas looked like a phantom, both terrifying and pitiable. It turned in slow, shaky circles, its head jerking toward each passing car, its eyes scanning as if pleading for a miracle. Then, in a heart-wrenching moment, it collapsed onto the pavement in the middle of the lot, head drooping, shoulders slumping, its heavy breaths carrying the weight of a world's worth of defeat. The dog that had once raced tirelessly now surrendered, as if accepting that its days-long search had ended in futility. Lucas couldn't take it anymore. He set his coffee cup down, pushed through the crowd, and knelt a few steps away from Atlas. "Hey, buddy," he said gently, instinctively calling it Atlas, a name fit for a god burdened beyond imagination, one that seemed destined for this creature. Atlas barely stirred. Up close, Lucas could see it clearly, fur matted with dried mud, paws scratched and bleeding, a faint old scar running along its left ear, a remnant of a life once cared for by someone. He extended his hand. "I know you're waiting for someone, but maybe they don't deserve you." Atlas blinked, its nose twitching as it sniffed the air, but as Lucas edged closer, it flinched and bolted, as if jolted awake from a trance. "Wait!" Lucas yelled, sprinting after it. Atlas weaved through the traffic, glancing at each car with an unrelenting, burning hope. The crowd gasped in shock as it narrowly dodged a truck, the tires whizzing mere inches from its tail. Lucas ran with all his might, lungs searing, but he couldn't catch up. Then Atlas charged straight toward a black SUV speeding through the intersection. Lucas's heart seemed to stop. The driver didn't see it, and Atlas didn't slow down. Acting on instinct, he lunged forward, his fingers snagging the thick fur around its neck, yanking it back just as the SUV's wheels roared past, missing them by a hair's breadth. They crashed to the pavement together, Lucas clutching the trembling Atlas tightly, his own breath knocked out by the fall, but he didn't care. "Almost lost you there, Atlas," he whispered, his grip firm. Atlas didn't run anymore, lying still in Lucas's arms, its panicked breathing gradually slowing. Ellie rushed over, clutching her chest. "Oh my God, you scared me to death! Is it okay?" Lucas nodded, his voice hoarse. "Yeah, but he's exhausted. Been looking for someone too long." Ben, the one who had yelled to catch Atlas earlier, stepped closer, his tone softer now. "It's been abandoned, no doubt about it. I've seen dogs like this before, running themselves to death for their old owners." Lucas looked at Atlas, its eyes vacant, yet its ears still twitched at the sound of passing cars. He stood up. "I'll take him with me." Lucas guided Atlas to the sidewalk, sitting beside an old wooden bench near the cafe. Ellie brought out a cup of water. "Here, you need this." "What about the dog?" Lucas glanced at Atlas, noting the dust clinging to its fur and the fresh red scratches. "I'll take care of him." Ben nodded approvingly. "Good. It needs someone decent." Lucas turned to Atlas. "Come on, buddy." The dog hesitated, casting a glance back toward the road as if still tempted to run, but finally it shuffled after him, its legs trembling as though they might give out. Here is the translation of the provided text into standard, grammatically correct English. At Lucas's truck, a weathered blue Ford with a bed full of sawdust, he opened the passenger side door. "Hop in, Atlas." Atlas stood still, sniffing the warm scent of old leather and the faint hint of wood from the cab, then slowly climbed onto the seat, its claws clacking against the metal floor. Lucas closed the door gently and drove home, a small wooden cabin nestled between wheat fields and an oak forest, a few miles from Willow Creek. By the time they arrived, dusk was settling in, the fiery red sunset casting a glow over the countryside. He said, "This is home, Atlas." The dog stepped out, hesitating as it took in its surroundings, the smell of fresh grass, the whistle of wind through the trees, then followed him inside, each step laced with doubt. That night, Atlas didn't sleep. It paced near the door, ears twitching at the distant hum of cars on the highway, its body taut like a strung bow. Lucas sat on the sofa, watching. He knew it hadn't let go of the past. Its soul still wandered somewhere along the roads it had once roamed. Come up here if you want. He patted the sofa, his voice low and warm. After a long stretch of silence, Atlas climbed up, curling beside him, resting its head lightly on Lucas's leg, the first step toward trust. Lucas smiled, placing a hand on its back. You did great, Atlas. But in his mind, a question lingered. Who had done this to him? The next morning, Lucas woke to a warm weight against his leg. He blinked in the early sunlight streaming through the window and saw Atlas still there, no longer standing by the door waiting but curled up on the sofa. He stroked its back. Good morning, Atlas. The dog's tail gave a faint wag, a small sign of healing beginning. Lucas rummaged through the shed, finding an old bag of dog food from when he'd briefly fostered another stray. Eat up, you need your strength. Atlas sniffed, hesitating as if expecting a trick, then ate in small bites, glancing at Lucas as if gauging his sincerity. The days that followed were a slow but emotional journey. Lucas patiently built a bond with Atlas. He let it roam freely in the backyard, a wide expanse of soft grass with a low wooden fence, tossing a ball but never forcing it to play. At first, Atlas just watched, but by the third day, it chased after it, not to search but to play, its tail wagging lightly as if testing freedom. Once, it rolled onto its back in the grass, exposing a scarred belly, a true sign of trust that made Lucas chuckle. You're doing awesome, Atlas! Ellie stopped by a few times, bringing pastries from the cafe and an old collar she'd found in storage. For Atlas. He looks different already. How'd you do it? Lucas shrugged. Just gave him time and space. But one afternoon, as Lucas and Atlas walked through the wheat fields, a rusty green pickup truck rattled into view at the town's edge. The engine's clunky sputter echoed, and Atlas froze, ears perked, nostrils flaring. Then, as if pulled by an invisible force, it bolted. Lucas shouted, Atlas, wait! He ran after it, heart pounding, weeds whipping at his legs. Atlas stopped in front of the truck, barking loudly, its tail wagging weakly as ifing its eyes. A man stepped out, tall, thin, wearing a tattered jacket with grease-stained hands, glaring at Atlas with irritation. Why is it still here? I ditched it at the Old Pine gas station 2 towns over a week ago. Lucas froze, breath heaving. Old Pine was over 20 miles from Willow Creek. Atlas had trekked through streets, forests, rain, maybe even freezing nights, to find this man. His voice trembled with anger. He waited for you all that time. The man, Ray, according to the name tag on his chest, sneered. Dumb dog. I don't need it anymore, left it for whoever wants to pick it up. Lucas clenched his fists, blood boiling. You abandoned him, and he still ran miles to find you? Ray shrugged, turning back to the truck. I don't have time for this sentimental crap. Atlas stood there, trembling, eyes locked on Ray as if awaiting an explanation, a final pat. But when Ray slammed the door and revved the engine, Atlas let out a small, pained whimper. Lucas knelt beside it. Atlas, listen to me. He's not worth it. The dog looked at Ray for one more second, then slowly turned away, following Lucas. The truck's rumble faded into the distance, and this time, Atlas didn't look back. Lucas's eyes stung, not just for Atlas, but because he knew abandonment's sting. His father had walked out when he was a kid, and that memory still smoldered within him. Back at the house, Lucas sat with Atlas on the wooden porch, watching the sunset paint the fields red. You're free now, Atlas, he said, running a hand over its head. Atlas pressed its head into his palm, their language of trust clearer than ever. But the story didn't end there. Ellie shared the incident with the local shelter, and word spread through Willow Creek like wildfire. People buzzed, some furious at Ray's actions, others moved by Atlas's loyalty. Ben, who'd once yelled to catch it, visited Lucas. My nephew's a cop in Old Pine. Says Ray's been fined for animal cruelty before. Atlas probably wasn't the only one who suffered. Lucas's jaw tightened. He deserves worse. The community rallied. A week later, Ellie and Hazel organized a fundraiser at Corner Brew, calling for a sanctuary for abandoned dogs, inspired by Atlas. Townsfolk brought food, money, and their own stories of forsaken pets. Lucas brought Atlas to the grand opening, the once skeletal dog now robust, its glossy brown-black coat gleaming, walking confidently beside him, Ellie's gifted collar sparkling in the sun. A young couple, Sarah and Tom, approached. "We want to adopt, but we're nervous about dogs with tough pasts. Any advice?" Lucas smiled, petting Atlas. "Just be patient. Healing comes in small steps, day by day." They nodded, heading to see the other dogs in the new sanctuary, a ripple of compassion spreading through the town. Then came another surprise. One early morning, as Lucas brewed coffee, the doorbell rang. He opened it to find a young woman, about 25, with long brown hair and red-rimmed eyes. "Are you the one who saved Atlas?" she asked, voice shaky. Lucas nodded, inviting her in. She introduced herself as Mia, Ray's sister. "I heard about it from a friend in Old Pine. My brother, he's no good. Atlas was mine. I raised him from a pup, but Ray took him when I moved to the city for college. I didn't know he'd abandoned him." Choking up, Mia said, "I came to apologize, and if I can, I'd like to see him." Lucas led Mia to the backyard, where Atlas lounged under an oak, gnawing a toy bone. At the sight of Mia, Atlas sprang up, ears perked, nose twitching. Mia knelt, tears falling. "Atlas, it's me." The dog hesitated, then stepped forward, sniffing her hand. Suddenly its tail wagged furiously, and it pressed its head into her chest, whining with joy. Lucas stood still, chest tightening. It wasn't Ray that Atlas had been searching for, but Mia, the one who truly loved it. Yet then Atlas turned, leaning against Lucas, as if unwilling to leave. Mia smiled through her tears. "He's chosen you. I just needed to know he's okay. Thank you for saving him." Lucas nodded. "He's my family now." Mia left, handing him an old photo, Mia cradling Atlas as a fluffy puppy with bright eyes. Lucas kept it, hanging it on the wall as a memento. Atlas didn't just find a home. It became a symbol of transformation in Willow Creek, from a broken, faithless dog to a companion sparking hope. Lucas called it freedom in his heart, but the name Atlas lingered, a reminder that even the most wounded souls can trust again, thanks to love, patience, and open hearts. One evening, as they sat on the porch under the stars, Lucas whispered, "You're my miracle, Atlas." The dog looked up, eyes shining like stars, and for the first time, it barked, not in fear, but in happiness.